I'm Jennifer of Celtic Knot Crochet, and today in this video I'll be showing you how to make the Easy Beginner Ombre Shawl. This truly is a beginner project, for all you have to do is double crochets and chains, and as you see, the stitch pattern repeats over 2 rows and it is very simple. I'll show you each step of the way that along one side of the shawl is a nice straight edge, and then in the back you'll have 2 angled edges. These angled edges create the triangular shape. At the end of the shawl you'll go around and make this very simple edging as well. Remember, if you like this project and this video tutorial, don't forget to give us a thumbs up and click to subscribe so you can see more easy crochet project tutorials. Let's get started. Let's go over the supplies for this project. The yarn you will need is Red Heart Super Saver Ombre yarn. You will need 2 skeins of the yarn, but you can almost make the entire shawl with just 1, and I started a new skein only for the edging. There are 482 yards in each skein of yarn, and this color is called Scuba. There are many beautiful colors of this yarn if you want to make yours in a different shade. Then you will need a crochet hook size K, 6.5 millimeter. That is for the body of the shawl. And then for the edging, you'll need size I, or 5.5 millimeters. You can find links to all of these supplies in the description below. You can find the free pattern to this shawl at my blog, CelticKnotCrochet.com. Again, the link to that will be in the description below. And with the pattern, you will see this diagram. This is to help you understand how the shawl is put together. So when you start the shawl, you will make a long chain and you will work along one side and create this first triangle here. Then you will turn that triangle and attach your yarn and do the same thing, but going along this side of the project. Then when you are finished, you will have completed this larger triangle, and then you'll go all the way around working the simple edging. So we're going to start by doing a long chain and working on this side of the project. Since we will be making a long chain for the beginning of the shawl, you might want a few stitch markers or safety pins to help you count your chains. So first you're going to make a slip knot. So you can do that by making the letter O like so, and then cross this yarn tail behind the O and put your hook into the center, grabbing that yarn tail. Hold both yarn tails tight, and that cinches up the slip knot. And then if you pull the yarn tail, you want it snug up against your hook like so. Now we're going to work 77 chains. But what you can do is you can chain 20 and then mark it with a stitch marker. 1, 2. Now you might prefer chaining 10 at a time if your house is busy or you get interrupted a lot. So I did 10. And every 10 I'll put a new stitch marker in. Usually I do this by 20s, but you get the idea. So if you put a marker at each 10, if you get interrupted, you can go back and say, oh, okay, I don't have to count these individual chains. I can just count 10, 20. And you'll want to continue working like that till you have 77 chains. I've completed my chain, and you can see here 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, and 7 more. So I hope that tip helps you. Now we're going to start row 1. Row 1, we're going to skip this first chain right here, and we're going to work into the second chain, and we're going to do a slip stitch. Going to put our hook in, yarn over, pull through the chain and through the loop on our hook, and that's it. Next, we're going to chain 3, and we're going to skip the next 2 chains, 1, 2, and then we're going to work into this chain right here, and we're going to do what's called a V-stitch. A V-stitch is exactly what it sounds like. It looks like the letter V. So I'm going to put my hook under these 2 loops of that chain, and I just did a yarn over. Did you see that? So I yarn over, put my hook into the chain, yarn over, pull up a loop. Now I have 3 loops on my hook. Then I'm going to yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Then I'm going to chain 2, and I'm going to work in that same chain that I worked the first double crochet. Yarn over, put my hook in, yarn over, pull through the chain, 3 loops on my hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And do you see how that looks like a V? So a V-stitch has 2 tall stitches with their feet in the same place, and then some chains in the middle to create that arch and that opening to make them slant out to the side. Most of this shawl is going to be these V stitches. Double crochet, chain 2, double crochet. Now we're setting up the pattern, and we're going to skip 2 chains, and we're going to work in the next chain. And whenever you come across the stitch marker, you can just take it off. You don't need those anymore. 1, 2, and now I'm going to do another V-stitch in the next chain. Double crochet, chain 2, and then double crochet. And I continue that all the way across, skipping 2 chains and then working the V-stitch in the next chain. I've worked across that beginning chain, and I have 3 chains left, so I continue the repeat of skipping 2 chains, and then I'll do a V-stitch in that very last chain. If I lay my first row out, I can count all the V-stitches here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. So if you've done your first row correct, you should have 25 V-stitches. But I'll let you in on a little secret. If you don't have the same exact number as me, it is no big deal. This pattern will still work out. It just might mean that your shawl is a little bit bigger or a little bit smaller than mine, but you'll be able to work the pattern repeat, and you do not need to start this row over. Just if you have 26, just leave it at that, and you'll keep going with the stitch pattern. The only thing is you might have to adjust something with the edging, and that is not difficult to do at all. So now let's do row 2. We're going to chain 3, and now we are going to double crochet inside this first V-stitch. See, this is the back of the V-stitch with the chain 2 space, and we're going to put a double crochet right inside there. Now for the rest of the row, we're not going to work in the middle of these V-stitches. We're going to work in between them. And that's what makes this project easy and go really quickly, because you're working in these spaces. So I'm going to work right in between. See how there's a V-stitch here and a V-stitch here, and I'm going to work in between. So I have the double crochet in the first one, and now I'm going to work V-stitches in between. V-stitch here, V-stitch here, and I'm going to put my hook right in between. A lot of time when V-stitches are worked, they're worked stacked on top of each other. This way they're alternating, and it gives the stitch pattern a different look. This edge right here is going to be the straight edge. So if you'd like, you could put one of the stitch markers, and that is your reminder that anytime you're on this edge, you should make sure that you're not doing a decrease and that everything looks nice and straight. And I'll continue with my V-stitch in the spaces across the row. And then I'll show you how we're going to start turning it into the triangle shape when we get to the end of this row. I'm almost finished with row 2 of the shawl. Here I am working these V-stitches in between. And I've come to my last 2 V-stitches. So I'm going to do one more V-stitch here between the last 2. And then I'm going to do something a little different. And this is where we have one part of the decrease to create the triangle shape. So my last V-stitch, I'm going to work in this last double crochet with another double crochet. And you can see that starts making the side come in. And that's all there is to it for row 2. Now we're going to do row 3. We're going to chain 3, turn our work, and then we're going to work the V-stitch in between all the V-stitches across. And we just don't want to put anything right here. So this is that double crochet at the end of the last row. We chain 3, and we're going to skip this whole V-stitch here and start working between the first and the second V-stitch. And by doing that, can you see how the side is starting to come up? And that, by doing this, repeating rows 2 and 3 along this edge, we will create the triangle shape. And we continue across with the V-stitch in between, just like we did here and on row 2. We do that all the way to the end. I am now close to the end of row 3. You could see all my V-stitches and how they alternate and are in between each other. And I have my stitch marker here reminding me that this is the straight side. So for the end of row 3, after my last V-stitch in this space right here, I have a double crochet and a chain 3. I'm going to work one more of the V-stitches into that last space there. Last V-stitch, I put one more V-stitch after it, and then I'm going to do a double crochet inside this turning chain. So I'm going to skip this double crochet that I put there and work into the turning chain, which is the chain 3 from the beginning of the previous row. And that's all there is to it. And we're going to repeat rows 2 and 3 until we have only one V-stitch left. So let's do a quick review of the 2-row repeat so you have it right here in short form, and then I'll show you how to do the very last row when you have only one V-stitch left. So row 2 is the one that starts on the straight edge that you have marked with the stitch marker. Chain 3, and then double crochet in your first V-stitch, then work a V-stitch in between all V-stitches across, another V-stitch in the space, and now here we are at our last V-stitch, so I'm going to put a double crochet in the last double crochet. Then row 3, I'm going to chain 3, turn my work. Now I have the angled edge at the beginning of row 3. I'm going to pass by the first V-stitch and work in the space in the next, between the first V-stitch and the next V-stitch. Then here's my last V-stitch, so I'm going to work one more V-stitch in that space. And then I'm going to put a double crochet in the turning chain. And that is a quick review for your 2-row repeat, row 2 and then row 3. And now I have only 2 V-stitches left, so I'll continue with the stitch pattern, chain 3, turn, double crochet in the first V-stitch, then V-stitch in between, and now this is my angled side here on the left, double crochet in the last double crochet. And here you see I have one V-stitch left here. So I will do a row 3 repeat again, chain 3, turn my work, skip this first V-stitch, do a V-stitch after that first one, and then I'm already there at the end, so I put a double crochet in the turning chain. Now I have just one V-stitch and the double crochet. So my very last row, I'm going to chain 3, turn my work, and then I'm going to double crochet in that V-stitch, and that is the end of 1/2. So I kept decreasing my number of V-stitches, and then I ended with one double crochet in that last V-stitch. Once you've completed the first half, you're going to want to start the next half here at this bottom point where you started the shawl, where you started row 1. We did a slip stitch, then we chained 3, and then we did our V-stitches by skipping the chains, if you remember. So I'm going to begin my second half of the shawl right here at that same spot where I started the first half. Now, a little tip, if you're left-handed, you'll still begin right here. It's just yours will be facing the other direction, and you'll be working this way, but you'll still start in that slip stitch where we started the whole shawl. To start the second half of the shawl, you'll want to put a slip knot on your hook, like so. and you're going to put your hook right into that first slip stitch we did. Put your hook in, yarn over, pull through the stitch and through the loop on your hook. Now you can see that what we already finished is upside down. The V stitches are now pointing down, and that's what you want. You're going to chain 3, and then you're going to work right into the base of these V stitches with another V stitch. So I just put my hook right in between them like so, and do the double crochet, chain 2, and then another double crochet right here. And we have a V stitch on top of another V stitch. Now, one little tip is I noticed that when you put the V stitch inside the other one, it opens this first one up to where it doesn't really look as much like a V stitch. So I was doing this. I was working in the chain for the first double crochet, and then I was working in the space for the second double crochet, and that seemed to help keep both V stitches in that nice shape. But again, if you don't want to do that, no biggie. So double crochet, chain 2, and then I was double crocheting in the space. And I'll continue all those V stitches across until I get to that last stitch. I've worked across doing row 1 of side 2, or the second half, and here I am at my last V stitch, and I'm going to do a V stitch in that last V stitch. And that is it for row 1 on the second half. If you look carefully, you can see how the V stitches are upside down on this side and right side up on the other. And now I repeat rows 2 and 3 as I did for the first half. Chain 3, turn my work, double crochet in the first V stitch, and then V stitch in each of the spaces across, and then at the end I will do that double crochet in the last double crochet of the last V stitch to start decreasing on this side of the shawl. See how it goes fast because you're working in the spaces and you're using a large hook with medium weight yarn to give it more drape, and it goes very quickly. For demonstration purposes, I'm going to use a different yarn and a different color so you can see it easily. So we just ended here at the point, and you're going to complete the second half of the project. So you'll have 2 halves that end like this, and then you just put your hook in to the very point, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. That's called a join with a single crochet. And then you're going to chain 2, and you're going to put a single crochet at the base of that first stitch. See the double crochet here? And I just put my hook through like that and put a single crochet. And I'm going to work around the entire shawl doing a chain 2, then at the base, here's the stitch right here, right where the 2 stitches intersect, actually 3 come together. I'm going to put my hook in, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. I'm just going to do single crochets with chain 2 in between. And I'll work all the way around the entire length of the shawl by working just like this. Can you see where to go next? I'm going to go right there. Now, if you need more chains, if your chains aren't reaching all the way over, you can add one because we're going to be working in these single crochets for the last round of the edging. So this gives you a base to work into when we do our shell and wide V-stitch that you'll see in a few seconds. So work that all the way around, and when you come back to here, just put a slip stitch here in that first stitch, and then you're ready to start round 2 of the edging. Now what I did for my edging is I wanted to make sure that I had the dark blue for my edging. So what you can do with your yarn ball is you can wind off and pull out the yarn until you get to the color you want. Maybe you want the lighter blue for your edging. So just wind it off till you have the color starting that you would like, and then begin with that color and do the last round of the edging. For me, I had to start a brand new skein in order to get the color that I wanted. The edging for this shawl is very simple. You just alternate a shell of 5 double crochets and then a V-stitch that has 3 chains in the middle. So it's a double crochet, chain 3, double crochet. And I'm just going to work right into those single crochets that I made for my first round of the edging. So I will put my hook in, yarn over, pull through base, 3 loops on my hook, yarn over, pull through 2 twice, and I'll do that 4 more times. So I have 5 double crochets all in that same spot. And that creates that fan and shell look. Then I'll find the next single crochet and I'll put a slip stitch in that, yarn over, pull through the base and through the loop on my hook. And now I'm going to work that V-stitch. Going to yarn over, double crochet in the next single crochet I can find, chain 3, and then I'm going to double crochet right back in that same single crochet to create the V-stitch. It looks like a V, and that looks like a shell. And you do that all the way around the shawl. After the V-stitch, you're going to find the next single crochet again. There's the next single crochet, and I put a slip stitch in there. That helps the V-stitch to lie down, and the slip stitches on either side of the shell help this to really pop. Now I find the next single crochet and do 5 double crochets again. And now we're nearing one of the corners where we're going to do something just slightly different. Here's the next single crochet where I'm going to do that slip stitch. So you have your 5 double crochets, a slip stitch, the wider V-stitch, and then a slip stitch, then the 5 double crochets again. Here we are right at the end, which is also one of the corners, and I'm going to find that next single crochet right here, and I'm going to put in a double crochet and then chain 1, and then double crochet again, chain 1 again. Adding these chain 1s gives it a lacy look and also helps it go around the corner better. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 double crochets like so. And then I just put a slip stitch there in the very first slip stitch of the round. And I've completed the edging all the way around. Next step, I'm going to block the shawl to finish it off. I'm going to soak it in some cool water, make sure it's completely soaked through, then gently squeeze out the excess water. Then lay it out on a dry, clean towel and a blocking board. And I might even pin these chain 3 spaces so when it dries they pop out really nicely along with these shells. And pin the triangle in place and let it dry completely. And then my shawl is ready to go. And that's how you make the easy beginner ombre shawl. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed making this project. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up and click to subscribe so you can watch more video tutorials for easy crochet projects. Happy crocheting!